Well, I don't normally use my freaking tablet for videos, so if it's dark and you can't see me very well, I apologize, but it is what it is. Um, I normally record with either my computer or my phone, normally because the cameras are the best on my cam and my phone, but right now I don't feel like using my computer and my phone is charging, so this would be why I'm using this. But anyway, let's get into why I'm making this video, shall we? This is being pre-recorded over the weekend. That way it can be uploaded by this week coming, because um, by a certain day of this week coming in, I'm going to be very busy, and I thought that I would go ahead and do some videos in advance. I'm sure you guys can understand when you get busy, you don't always have time to do anything on here. So anyway, I'm not going to try to make this too entirely long, but the subject of the video is basically, I was thinking about the guy, the minister that actually married me and my ex-husband, and the way he went about this was like really weird, because he had said that he married people that were homeless, and as long as they were homeless and stuff and didn't have any money to pay for services and stuff, they fit the criteria of his um, services, basically. Well, here's the deal with this. And you guys can give me your honest opinion in the comments about this one. He married me and my ex-husband, but here's the kicker on that. Neither one of us were homeless at the time. Technically, we had a place because my husband had just gotten his housing and he had an apartment. So he wasn't homeless. And the fact that I was getting married to him was part of the conditions of having anybody living with him. They had to be his spouse, basically, to live there. But I was basically staying in his apartment anyway, so kind of a fine line if you consider that homeless or not, because you're still staying somewhere. You're not on the streets, so I don't really think that that was really on the streets per se. But yeah, he went ahead and married us without even like checking into it to make sure that, you know, what we were saying was accurate and everything. And another thing that kind of like mind boggles me to this day is the fact that he did not like do what normal pastors would do, that I think that all should do. Like, I think most of them do this, is they normally sit down with a couple before they marry them and make sure that they're really prepared for that. You know, like talk to them about it, you know, I would imagine it's like pre-marriage, like counseling with your pastor or whatever. But the thing is, he really wasn't my pastor either, because he didn't really have a church. He didn't really preach inside an actual legitimate like church, because he ran a program for the homeless on Sundays. And how can that be a legitimate church? I don't think it can be. I don't think it qualifies, but some people might say it does, others might say it don't. Depends on the person's opinion, I guess. But to me, I don't think that really counted as a church, because you're not really inside a like permanent fixture like for your church. But for me, I don't really go to church, so that's not here or there. I'm just saying that most pastors have that. But please forgive the laughing in the background, because the husband's doing something on Pogo. Anyway, yeah, I don't understand his whole thing about that, because he didn't check it out ahead of time, and he didn't ask us any questions. He didn't make sure that we weren't like fibbing to him that we were homeless. I know that he had seen us there for a lot of years, because I was homeless in that area for quite some time before we got in that apartment. So maybe he still figured that it was true to that day as it ever was. But still, you know, when it didn't work out and everything, we had to basically have the whole divorce proceedings and everything to make it final that we were divorced and no longer together and everything. And if somebody could have informed me that this was like not legit to some degree, like the fact that he did not do what he was supposed to, that he said that he had that criteria for you to be married, if he would have, done what he was supposed to do, and the fact that he didn't do what he was supposed to do, that basically made the marriage like not valid. And instead of having a divorce, they probably would have just voided out the marriage altogether and it never would have been legal to begin with, because that's not good if you're not really doing what you say you're going to do when you do it. So yeah, I don't know if that guy would really want to even know about how my ex-husband is now, because that dude is out there now. You know what? That's pretty much all I had to say about the pastor. That was just something I wanted to throw out here to get some opinion. But you know what? I think I'm going to talk about one other thing on this video before I go, which is how people can completely pretend to be something that they're not when you're around them. And when you leave, it's like their true colors come out, because they no longer have to hide who they really are. And they don't have to pretend to be what you are, or pretend to believe in what you believe, or agree with what you have to say, or anything of that nature. Like, my ex-husband is completely out there now. He's like totally different than what I ever knew him to be. Like, I know that he says that he doesn't believe that God is real. He basically said to me that I was brainwashed, just like everybody else on the planet that's a Christian, that we're all brainwashed into believing the Bible, that the Bible is accurate. He tried telling me that I should stop believing in God because there is no God, and that the Bible was made up by a person and it wasn't inspired by God. Basically, it was just fiction that was written. Of course, this is coming from somebody that had wallpapers on his social media page saying that a demon told him it's okay to hit people, it's okay to tell people off, and everything else, that it's okay to be violent and all that crap. That leads me to believe that no, he doesn't believe in God at all, that he may believe in something worse, which, atheists don't believe in anything. We all know that. They don't believe in a God, they don't believe in the devil, they don't believe in anything like that. Which I did some research on that. People that are atheists, it's a very small number of people. It's like 2% of the population on this planet that are atheist. So there's not many people like that out there that are an atheist. As far as like knowing that he doesn't believe what I do and that he's like basically the opposite of me, it's not a very big stretch of the imagination to believe that he's a Satanist. And that scares the hell out of me, knowing that I was married to somebody like that, and that he pretended to be a Christian and everything else just to make me happy. He pretended to support my beliefs and everything, but to a point that he didn't support them, because when I was around, if I played Christian music, he would tell me to shut it off. If I played a pastor that I liked listening to, on Sundays I would play, a pastor, he'd tell me to shut it off, or he'd only listen to like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes of their message and be like, well, you can shut it off now. I understand what they're talking about. You can't just shut something off like mid-play, because you're not going to understand what they're saying. I never got the full message that way. It's like 10 minutes in, he wanted me to shut it off. Of course, I would, just to shut him up, but then I would go to play music, like Christian music, and he'd tell me, don't play that around me, I don't want to hear it. If I continued to play it, he would, put his shoes on, get ready to go, and leave, and he wouldn't come back until the music was done being played. He would not be around it whatsoever, which is freaky. Another thing about him that is like kind of weird also is he had said too, like one of the few moments that I've heard from him recently, which I really don't want to, but he keeps talking to me anyway. He said like as far as like the government and stuff, he hopes the government falls. That it's crap that he don't support the government and everything else. I forget. What did you say that he is? Because he's like against the government and wants it to fall. I gotta involve you in this for a second. Is that like anarchy or something? Well, he's kind of busy, so. It's like a person that supports anarchy, and that's like completely out there too, because I didn't know he felt that way. You know, it's saddening to me that I was married and dated this person for like 4 years, and they never once made that type of statements like that when they were with me. They never said things like that. But now all of a sudden, since I'm gone, they're showing, you know, who they are, and it's like, wow. You know, I actually texted him and said, wow, I don't even know you. It's like, I was with you, I was around you for 5 years. You know, that first year we were just friends, and I still didn't know who you were, and I still don't know you to this day. Like, not knowing you then was true, and not knowing you now is true, because I never knew any of this about you. I never knew that you were like this. I didn't know that you were, you know, one of those that didn't believe the way I did, and I didn't know that you felt that way about the United States too. It's like, why are you continuing to live in the United States if you feel that way? It's like, you know, I've heard people tell people, you know, if you don't like the way the United States is, why don't you pack your stuff and leave? Go to another country that does support how you feel if you don't want to be here. You don't have to stay in the United States if you don't like the way it's ran. You know, I don't want our government to fall. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's the right thing to say or the right attitude to have. You know, it just, I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm just, you know, babbling on about nothing, but these are just some things that I wanted to throw out to the void, basically, and just ask, like, has anyone ever experienced this? Because it's, like, crazy that you would, you know, learn about it from somebody that you thought you knew for, like, a good chunk of time, and you didn't know anything about them. And obviously he didn't know anything about me either, which goes to say that would be why our marriage fell apart and didn't go well, and it basically fell apart from day one anyway, so it really doesn't matter. And that's old water under the bridge, which I'm not really going to get into because it really don't matter anymore, because that quit being important in May on the 31st when my divorce was final from him. I no longer have to worry about what he does. I'm just trying to understand what he is doing, because it's just crazy. Another subject that people find important for those of us that are in this situation is sobriety. Staying sober. Fighting the addiction that you have to anything. May it be painkillers, illegal street drugs, alcohol. It doesn't matter. It all fits under that umbrella. You know, he quit caring about that a long time ago. You know, even before I left him, he quit caring about that. You know, he was going through the song and dance of recovery because I had a serious problem at one time, but I no longer do, thankfully. But he went through the whole song and dance just to make me do it. You know, he wasn't serious about it. If you're serious about it, you don't start, you know, smoking pot and drinking freaking alcohol every single day. You know, after somebody leaves you, they realize that you were not who they thought you were, and you were treating them poorly and everything. You know, you start doing these things after they leave, and you start doing them before they leave. Like, he started smoking weed before I left. He started drinking you know, more and more before I left. Like, he wanted me to drink with him all the time. He wanted me to get high with him all the time. It's like, I don't want to do these things. You know, the weed, the alcohol, those things have ran their course in my life. I don't want nothing to do with that. It's not that I'm bashing anyone that does smoke pot or drink alcohol. If you can do it in moderation and do it where you can handle it, more power to you. I cannot do so, so I don't. That's my personal choice. You know, like I said, I'm not bashing anybody that does. You know, it's crazy how much people can, you know, make you think that they're one way when they're totally different. So, yeah, and, you know, one of my supposed friends that I no longer speak to, you know, I stopped talking to her only because she said at one point, when I left him, she told me that he was terrible and that she didn't support me being around him anyway, and that she was glad that I was away from him. But then I learned that they're friends on social media. And I also learned from him that she asked him, you know, if I come back, will you get me high? It's like, really? I'm like, you want to hang out with the same exact person that did me so dirty, and you witnessed it for years, but you want to be their friend, even though they did that to somebody that you said you quote unquote care about. That's not caring about somebody that's your friend. You know, that's like basically just telling them what they want to hear. And, you know, by any means, this female, what I'm speaking of, I don't think she ever changed as far as like the addict in her. She's still an addict mentality, which, you know, if anybody's got something to offer, she'll do it. It don't matter what it is. Oh, excuse me. Is this a bashing video? No, it's not. This is just me, like I said, throwing this message out for different things into the void. You know, things that I don't quite understand, and why people chosen to do the way they do and be the way they want to be, and then pretend to be something that they're not entirely. It just really bizarre to me, which, you know, I have every right to feel that way, I guess. You know, I have a lot of unsolved questions about these people, you know, the ones that I've mentioned in this video, but they're probably questions that will remain unanswered because, you know, I don't want to contact any of them because, you know, they're probably not even worth speaking to. The last person, there is one last person I want to bring up in this too. Somebody that called me their daughter, their adopted daughter. And I knew them for about the whole time that I lived in Arizona when I was there. You know, I was close to this person at one time. I considered him like a dad.
You want to play?
Yeah, well, give me a second. Anyway, I'm going to make this quick about him. Like, I was close to him at one time, and it just went to hell too. Like, he changed. When I was no longer somebody that could give him what he wanted, he didn't want nothing to do with me. Just case in point of another person that didn't care. And he actually ran to his sister and told her that I wanted him to, or her to pay one of my bills, which I never did ask for that. And I was incredibly shocked that he would say something like that. So yeah. Just, you know, people I don't understand, but I'll never get answers. And if you guys have ever dealt with anything like this, feel free to comment below. And if you can explain why people act like this, if you've had people like this in your life and you can explain it to where I'll understand a little bit more, feel free to leave a comment too. Subscribe, like, dislike, comment. You can get a hold of me on my Kick and Instagram. I'll leave those in the description below. And I'm going to go and enjoy my weekend. And I'll talk to you all later. Thanks for watching if you watch this video in its entirety. See you guys soon. Bye.